What's up, everybody? Matt Kajeski here, back again with the Stokastic channel, and today I am here talking college football DFS. It is the Week 12, Tuesday, Maction main slate, and as you can tell, I am not at home, so excuse the background, traveling to Indy for the basketball events there, but we have more important things to discuss right now, college football, Maction. We'll dive into everything you need to know for DFS. But before we get started, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so when this and all other content goes live. We're also brought to you today by Prize Picks. If you've never heard of Prize Picks, they're daily prop-based offerings. You're making lineups of player props, touchdowns, receiving yards, it's overs, it's unders. They have multiple sports. It's not just college football. You can mix and match with NHL, NBA, you name it. And if you click the link in the video description below, you'll get a first match deposit bonus up to $100 and 1 free month of Stokastic Plus Platinum. So make sure to check them out. Bringing you to our data usage tool. Here we are behind the scenes. 2 games to talk about from action, and we'll kick things off today with Bowling Green taking on Toledo. 15.5 point spread, 50 total, not the best here. And there's kind of an imbalance in quarterbacks on this slate. For Bowling Green, they're 84th in pace, 53% pass rate. Mac McDonald under center. He's 7,300, which is a bit expensive for my liking for a pocket passer with no rushing upside. He has 1 rushing yard on the year, which is pretty remarkable. But as a passer, he averages 224 per game on 34 attempts. We'll talk about the other quarterbacks. He's purely in GPP leverage territory here because of the lack of mobility. In the backfield, it's been a timeshare through most of the year. Interestingly, Teron Keith did not appear in their last game. There was no update on an injury status, and this is pretty much par for the course with Maction. Teron Keith's not a vital player to this offense, but just watch and make sure he plays or not. If he doesn't play, it probably puts Jason Patterson far more into play than normal. 16 carries in the last game without Keith. He's played a pretty good role over the last 3 games, at least 16 carries in 3 of the 4. Only averages 49 yards per game, just not very efficient, but he's also in the GPP category if you're just looking for punts. But this team does throw enough, I think, to maybe look at some receivers. Odu Hilaire has been very involved lately, 6.8 targets per game last 4, 45 yards. He's the first player I'm trying to get in. And then second would be Tyrone Broden, who had 11 targets in their last game. He's averaging 6.3 targets per game over their last 4. Outside of that, it's a pretty nasty rotation. Their tight end, Christian Sims, 5 targets per game in that span, but his route rate has really declined of late. And the same thing for CJ Lewis. He's been splitting time with a couple receivers now, and as normal, we'll bring you guys to the routes because this has gotten pretty rotational over the last few weeks. All that to say, I'm really trying to prioritize the top 2 options here, but just to spell it out for you guys in terms of routes for Bowling Green, we've got the 2 guys at the top, Christian Sims at 55%. Last week, CJ Lewis's routes dropped to 21%. You had Kavan Kroom up at 53%, which is a big step up for him. Harold Fannin, their second tight end at 34%. And then it just goes down from there. Nobody else above 27%. So pretty nasty, just GPP territory. Second team, I should say. We're going to Toledo. They're 35th in pace, 44% pass rate. DeQuan Finn is one of the better quarterbacks on the slate. You can see just a slight jump in price for DeQuan Finn, making him a clear priority over a guy like McDonald. 530 rushing yards for him on the year is unbelievable. He averages 216 as a passer on 29 attempts. Pretty efficient as a passer, just not a high-volume offense. But the rushing is what makes him a top 2 quarterback option. This team does use a running back by committee. You've seen Jock Stewart, Penny Boone, and Micah Kelly all pop up for big games recently. Kelly coming off the 17-carry performance in last week's Maction. He'll probably be the most popular at 3,300. But I like to mix and match these guys. There's a need to save some salary, and I think this is a great place to do so as a 2-touchdown favorite against a not-so-spectacular run defense on the Bowling Green side. I'll be mixing and matching all 3 of these guys with a slight preference towards Kelly based on the recent play. But Jock Stewart is the buy low. He's been the most efficient runner in the offense this year. In the receiving game, Jerwan Newton is the only one with a locked-in route share right now, 12 targets for him in the last game. He's averaging 8.5 over the last 4. And I'll bring you to the routes because they've had some players in and out of the lineup. Demir Blankumsey returned, which muddied things more than anything else. His return hurt some other players up at the top. So to give you the full route breakdown for them last week, it was Jerwan Newton, 98%. Devin Maddox and Demir Blankumsey both at 38. Tight end Jamal Turner, he was down at 62. Interestingly, Michael Barkley retained his wide receiver 2 role. 67%, was not expecting that. Michael Barkley might be a punt play on this slate, if you will. Thomas Zerio's 33%, and then nobody else above 30. So to break it down in terms of price, still trying to get Jerwan Newton. He's not expensive, but I think I might just punt all the way down for Michael Barkley instead of playing Devin Maddox or Jameer Blankhamsey. Their GPP plays based on really just prior positive performance earlier this year. Second game is Ohio taking on Ball State. 4-point spread in favor of the Bobcats. 55 total, so a little better here. The other quarterback who's very clearly a top 2 option is Curtis Rourke. Ohio's 107th in pace, 52% pass rate. Rourke not as mobile as Finn, but he still has 233 rushing yards on the year, and he is much better as a passer. Averages 309 through the air on 33.5 attempts. Very efficient for him. He'll be facing a tough defense, but he's been able to overcome them already. In the backfield, they did return Say Bangura, who is their lead back. Nolan McCormick still carried 10 times, so it's not a locked-in bell cow role for him, but he is certainly a top 2 running back option on the slate. We'll talk about the number 1 for the final team. Then in the receiving room, you have about 4 options, I think, firmly in play here, starting with Wiglets. 6,800, still not expensive enough. 8.5 targets per game over the last 4. Averages 73 yards. He's arguably the most efficient receiver on the board here. Then you'll see Miles Cross, James Bostic, and Jacoby Jones all mix into this lineup. And I'm not sure they're priced correctly. You had Miles Cross with a 69% route rate this year. James Bostic is also at 69%, and Jacoby Jones is at 48%. So I think I would rather play the Cross and the Bostics of this lineup rather than play Jacoby Jones, who for some reason is more expensive than Bostic. I didn't understand that. I'll just punt the 4,800, save that 500, and then play Bostic and try to move up somewhere else. Tight end rotation, not really interested there. The final team, Ball State, really fast. They're 9th in pace, 54% pass rate. They just haven't really been efficient with John Paddock under center. He has negative 82 rushing yards, which separates him from Rourke and Finn. But if you're looking for a GPP play, just throw the ball 40 times per game. Only 235 yards. So again, not the most efficient. Carson Steele's the number 1 running back on the slate. It's not close. 28 touches per game, 127 rushing yards. And he is somewhat active as a receiver too. Little bit of target upside for him. He just has a crazy role. Nobody is receiving change of pace option touches here. Then in the receiving game, they run 12 personnel almost every single play. It's Ja'Shawn Jackson, Yohines Tyler out wide, and then it's Tanner Koziel and Brady Hunt. Brady Hunt has been a little more involved, but Koziel was banged up. He's now back. These guys average almost the same targets per game, 4.9 for Koziel, 4.3 for Hunt. I think they're both fine, and I like punting with them. They generally are unowned because they play tight end, but that's kind of how it shakes down. Ja'Shawn Jackson, very clearly the 1. Yohines, the 2. His targets are down because of injury, but he should be back fine. His routes were fine. Then Koziel and Hunt to round it out. But that'll do it for us. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section. Otherwise, I'll be back from Indy tomorrow talking Maction, the Wednesday slate. And hit the thumbs up button on the way out. Subscribe to the channel. It helps us a ton. Otherwise, we'll catch you guys again tomorrow. Good luck.